So, hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to my third interview coaching session. So, what's happened with you in the last week? Last session, let me just remind you, was all about CVs, putting your CV together. And boy, did I chuck a whole load of tips at you. And I did share a lot of information, and maybe on reflection, I shared a little bit too much. I'm on just as much of a learning curve as you, so maybe I need to divide the CV talk into two sessions. That's basically what I've learnt from that bit of reflection from last week. So this week we're talking about achievements, and I was thinking about this today because I always do a little bit of research before I do this. I know about recruitment, I know about CVs, I know about interviews, but I always check that I'm still on track. People are still talking in the same way as I'm talking, and the trends are the same. And I thought, gosh, there is a lot of information out there on achievements. And I got to thinking, do people want to hear it again? Well, actually, yes, because the people that are talking about achievements are the recruiters. The people that are talking about achievements are websites. They're in that industry. But we're still not seeing these on the CV. We're still not seeing achievements written on CVs. And I kind of think, why? Why are candidates not writing when all the advice out there is to tell them to put their achievements on their CV? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's too difficult. It's quite time consuming, it's a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time to think about people's achievements. So just let me introduce myself. I'm Dawn, I'm the founder of Your Interview Coach, and today we are talking about achievements. So let's start from the very beginning. What are achievements? And I'm going to give you a lot of tips, just like I did with the CV, but we're just going to focus on achievements to write on your CV. Now, yes, you will be putting achievements together for the interview, but I think we need to separate that out to a different section. We're going to talk about interviews later on, but this is just to up your game again. Now, I just said to you, why do candidates not put achievements on their CV? Because it takes a bit of time and effort to think about achievements. But this is where you will stand out from the crowd. Candidates still insist on doing it the quick way by copying and pasting from their job description and putting it onto their CV. That's the easy, quickest way, but it won't make you stand out from the crowd. Why do you need to stand out from the crowd? Why are people telling you have to stand out from the crowd? Isn't it clear if you put your job description on a CV what you can do? Well, no, it isn't. And a couple of years ago, hiring managers were very, very fussy about who they recruited. Now, they've always been fussy. I've worked with hundreds of managers, and they have this wish list. And sometimes there's actually 3 jobs in one. And you kind of go, and you kind of, as an in-house recruiter, it's my job to challenge that and say, I don't think you're going to find this person on the market, because it's 2 completely different skill sets. One is very sociable and salesy, one is very introvert and looking at numbers. I've heard and I've researched that managers used to maybe compromise on 70% of their wish list, the criteria for the job. Now they are waiting and they're hanging out for 95%. This is from I've gathered this information from lots and lots of surveys out there on the big job boards, where they're saying managers are no longer making those kind of compromises on the criteria. So that is one of the biggest reasons you need to put your achievements on your CV. It's for a reason, because they are looking for people that can add that value, that exceed expectations now, not just do the job. They're not looking for people to do a 9-to-5 job. They're looking for people that go above and extra to their job description. They go the extra mile. So, what are achievements? This is where you need your pen and paper. to write down some of the key things to help you and prompt you into thinking about your own achievements, because I can't do that for you. This is something you're going to have to go away and think about. So the biggies at the top of the list are where you've saved money and you've saved time for the business. So what are achievements? They are things you've done that have a positive impact on the business. So time and money is the biggest impact on a business. So and saving time, by the way, is saving money, because time is money to businesses. So let's look at saving money for the business. Now, this could be in lots and lots of different forms, and this is to help you to think of examples you've done yourself. So saving money, or the money element, you could increase revenue. So the profitability. Have you identified sales channels? Have you identified a new client base that you can sell your products or services to? Have you increased sales? These are some of the things that you could share on your CV. And I'll come on to how you structure it in a minute, but this is just to get you thinking and generating some ideas. So think about the operational costs. Have you saved money for the business? Have you saved money by looking at reducing the waste of a company? Have you identified or sourced other suppliers for raw materials, or suppliers of equipment, and reduced the cost on the bottom line? So, or you could have been even clever, even smarter, and looked at ways of managing the cash flow for a business, because actually that's quite key to a business, is the cash flow. Okay, they want to increase their productivity and their product profitability, and they want to reduce the operating costs, yes, but cash flow is very, very important to businesses at the moment, and we learnt that the hard way through the recession. So what does that mean? Are you paying your suppliers within 30 days, but your customers are paying you in 60 days? There's a problem there. The cash flow, you're paying out more than you're getting in to pay your suppliers. So that might be something you've looked at for the business. Have you managed a budget? So they're all the things about saving money or increasing profitability. So there's quite a few pointers there for you to think about. What about, we talked about saving time for the business, because that is money. So have you automated a process? Have you streamlined a process or a system? Have you implemented a new system of working that has saved a huge amount of time? So, for example, if you manually input information to produce reports, have you designed a way that can collate all that information and do the report automatically? So there's a couple more ideas about saving time for the business. What about thinking of achievements where you've improved the communications? Lots of businesses will, particularly larger businesses, will end up working in silos. They very often don't share their knowledge with other departments, and this is something that knowledge is very, very difficult to retain or even store. That's why when they lose people that have been with the business a long, long time, they're losing lots of knowledge, because some of it hasn't been written down, it's not in a process, it's just a way of working. So remember, don't forget all your knowledge that you've gained, particularly I work with a lot of people in the public sector, and they have been with one employer for about 10 years. So don't forget all the things that you've done in sharing your knowledge. And I know that's a big thing in public sector, where they do make sure people are trained and mentored, and they're not frightened of sharing. Managers and leaders aren't frightened of sharing that information with their staff and their team. And again, that adds a lot of value. People want to know about that. The next employer wants to know what you've done to share information, so that businesses work in collaboration and departments work in collaboration. So that's another thing to share. So it isn't just about saving money or making money or saving time, it's actually improving a process. So is that a lot of information for you? What are employers also looking for? I suppose they're looking for someone to, and I said this in my last session, they're looking for people to solve a problem. So have you solved a problem? What? And it doesn't really matter if someone else has given you the problem. Don't worry if you haven't identified the problem. Your manager might say, okay, I've identified a problem. Could you investigate? Could you look at the possible solutions? Could you work with other departments to get their idea? And that's, again, another achievement. So I think there's a lot of things you can think about. If you can't, there's a few other things that I wanted to share with you. If you can't really think about the achievements, and I know what a lot of my clients say to me, oh, I'm just doing my job, or I haven't ever achieved anything. So they need a lot more prompts to help them to think about achievements that because they have. They need a lot more questions. So some of my clients ask me, can you talk about your educational achievements? Yes, if you haven't got any experience, any work experience, then yes, you do. You can share your educational achievements, but you need to outline and make it very, very clear how you've achieved that. What did you do to achieve that result? So what criteria did you have to meet? And this is very similar if you wanted to talk about a promotion. Don't just say you were promoted. That's not enough on your CV. You need to outline, make sure the reader understands what you needed to demonstrate, what criteria you met to be given that promotion, and really outline to them the significance of the promotion, because they won't know. You could talk about, again, if you haven't had any work experience, you could talk about things that you've done in the community. So personal achievements, but again, make sure that they're, and I hope that you've got some sort of commercial result from that. So if you did a charity car wash, for example, and you raised the money, talk about how much you raised, how much it meant to the community that you did that piece of work and that voluntary work. So the way that you write has obviously got to be very, very concise on the CV. It's got to be really punchy. And one tip I can give you to write really, really concisely on your CV is to write in the third person. I might have mentioned that last week. I mentioned a lot of tips. But writing in the third person means you don't have to put all the loads of words around it. You don't have to put I am doing this or I have achieved this. You can just put a very succinct sentence together. And it doesn't have to be grammatically correct if you write in the third person. So you're writing very... So I'm just going to give you a few examples to get you thinking of how to write it. Now, these examples, so you might say increased customer retention by 10% by training staff to help customers fix technical issues over the phone. This saved the business X amount on lost revenue. So again, it's only 2 sentences. It's barely 3 lines on your CV, but it gives an idea of, okay, they've actually retained customers. And if that's relevant to the job, and it needs to be relevant to the job, then they're going to go, this person has actually achieved something. They've had a positive impact on the business. And that's really what you want to do. I've got another one here just to give you an idea of how punchy it needs to be. Implemented a new online filing system which saved call centre operators X amount of hours a day on average, which reduced the amount of downtime and customer callbacks by, and you'd put in the information. So that's actually all I'm going to talk about today. I said I was going to make it punchy and concise, and I think that's relevant to the subject, because I think I did share too much information last time, and I think it's only fair that I work on the feedback that I've got and make it a little bit more punchy. So if you have any questions, please let me know. My email is dawn@untitled yourinterviewcoach.co.uk, or you can email me on Facebook. But thank you very much for watching, and if you want more blogs and information and newsletter, please subscribe on my website. My website is being updated at the moment, so there's going to be lots and lots of free information for you to tap into, but feel free to subscribe and I'll send you some information on the coaching sessions that we've already had. Next week's session is going to be on social media. That has significantly changed, as you can appreciate. Everyone's on an iPhone now, and if you're not on social media, you can't be found. So it's all right having a CV. You need a CV. You definitely need it. It's good practice to have one anyway. But if you're not on social media, you're going to miss out on a lot of hidden jobs, and you're going to miss out on recruiters finding you, because if your CV is on your computer, they never find you. So I'm going to be talking about social media in general